Welcome back to Mr. Shoto YouTube Channel 3, Disturbing True Midnight Horror Story. 1. The Whispering Walls. In 1978, a couple moved into a charming old Victorian house in a quiet neighborhood. They were drawn to its history, unaware of the dark secrets it held. Shortly after moving in, they began to hear whispers echoing within the walls at night. At first, they brushed it off as the creaking of an old house. But as the nights wore on, the whispers grew clearer, chilling their bones with phrases like "Get out," and "We see you." One evening, determined to confront their fears, they set up a voice recorder as they slept. The following morning, they played back the recording. Their hearts sank when they heard their own voices calling out for help, even though they had not spoken a word during the night. They fled the house by dawn, never to return. Years later, the home was abandoned, a haunting reminder of the dark forces that lurked within its walls. Story 2. The Vanishing Encounter. In 2010, a group of friends went camping deep in the woods of the Pacific Northwest, eager for a weekend of adventure. On the second night, they gathered around the campfire, sharing ghost stories and laughs, when one friend suggested a late-night hike to a nearby overlook. The group agreed, armed with flashlights and excitement. As they ascended the trail, they stumbled upon an ancient stone altar, overgrown with moss and eerie symbols. Intrigued, they began to investigate. Suddenly, one of the friends, Kevin, wandered off, drawn by faint whispers and a flickering light deeper in the woods. The group called for him, but their voices faded into an oppressive silence. Hours passed and panic set in when Kevin didn't return. They searched the area frantically, but it was as if he had vanished into thin air. Just as despair threatened to consume them, a figure appeared in the distance, emerging from the dark. It was Kevin, but something was off. His gaze was vacant, and he had an unnatural smile plastered across his face. Without a word, he turned and walked back into the forest. Terrified, the friends followed, yelling his name, but he only grew further away, leaving them bewildered. When they finally returned to camp, they discovered their things had been moved and scattered. Shaken, they decided to pack up and leave. Days later, they learned that Kevin's body had been found by a park ranger miles away from their campground. He had been missing for weeks, forever lost within the woods. Story 3. The Gift of Shadows. In 2004, a woman named Lisa stumbled upon an old antique shop while exploring her quaint town. Among dusty trinkets and faded photographs, a small ornate box caught her eye. The shopkeeper, with a knowing smile, warned her that it came with a price. Ignoring the warning, Lisa purchased the box, excited to add it to her collection. That night, she opened the box, and within it lay an assortment of delicate, shadowy trinkets that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. As she toyed with them, she noticed the shadows in her room growing darker and longer, shifting unnaturally across the walls. Dismissing her unease, she placed the box on her nightstand. But her dreams that night were filled with nightmarish visions of figures lurking just beyond the reach of her light. Days turned into nights, and Lisa began to notice strange occurrences. Objects moved on their own, shadows dancing in the corners of her vision, and chilling whispers calling her name. Frustrated and terrified, she decided to return the box to the shop. When she arrived, the store was gone, only an empty lot remained. Desperate, Lisa tried to get rid of the box, but it always found its way back to her, appearing mysteriously in her home. As the shadows grew more aggressive, her mental state deteriorated. Finally, one night, she awoke to the sounds of muffled cries that seemed trapped within the box. In a panic, she threw the box into a blazing fire, convinced it was the only way to end the curse. As the flames consumed the box, a scream echoed through her house, and the shadows surged violently, engulfing her. When the fire died down, only ashes remained, along with the chilling realization that the shadows had claimed their gift. Closing thoughts: each of these stories reveals the horror that can creep into everyday life when we least expect it. They serve as a reminder that sometimes the most unsettling encounters come from the unknown, lurking right beneath our surface, whispering to be let in. Sleep tight. Thank you for watching.